In Chapter 18, we see that from 1715 to 1789, the final phase of Europe's old order occurs. Enlightened despotism and absolutist monarchies are the two major themes in the first heading, the European states. We start off with France, a country struggling with absolutism and crumbling internally due to the incompetent and selfish rulers that seized power of the territory. England ran a constitutional monarchy with some corruption stemming from the parliament and the patronage and bribery from wealthy aristocrats. In Austria, what began as an absolutist territory run by Maria Theresa eventually led to the ruling of her son, Joseph II. Being an enlightened despot, he granted freedom to serfs and even abolished the death penalty. Sadly, his great achievements were undone by the time his reign was over. The Dutch were ruling through oligarchies until the patriots, or artisans and other merchants, swooped in and demanded a larger representation in government. Prussia, on the other hand, was led by Frederick I, who established a strong army through absolutist power, but bullied his son in the process.
The 18th century was the first time that we see international battles between countries. The War of Austrian Succession started when the line for male heir was empty, and Maria Theresa was chosen as ruler. Seeing this, Frederick II invaded the region of Silesia, and although Maria Theresa allied with Great Britain, Prussia was granted the land. The 7 Years' War was a diplomatic revolution when Maria Theresa refused to give Silesia. Austria and France against Great Britain and Prussia led to the French and Indian War. The final result of the war was that Frederick the Great faced defeat. The armies of the war were a reflection of European societies, as the higher a person was, the more valuable they were.
There was a significant change in the economic conditions between the 17th century and the 18th century. The population in these European states started to increase rapidly. There was a decrease in death rates, plentiful food, more women were married, and new crops from America helped the sudden population increase. This population growth was supported by the agricultural revolution, where an increase in crops and improved climate helped the food production industry flourish. The population increase also resulted in growing numbers of consumers, leading to the high demand for workers. This guided the start of consumer revolution as they purchased a host of newly available goods. The European industry flourished primarily because of textiles. The shift of production of textiles to the countryside resulted in new methods and machines to increase production. Raw cotton from slave plantations encouraged cotton cloth production in Europe. This created a solid bond between Europe and America. Europe also increased their merchant fleets, which expanded trade between other countries as well. Europe's newfound industry resulted in prosperous port cities, elegant buildings, and affluent lifestyles.
The social order of the 18th century was divided into three main sections: the nobility, the middle class, and the peasants and beggars. The nobility was set apart from society by their privileges of lower taxes, higher sources of income, etc. They played major roles in military and government and were known for their lavish spendings in their country house and traveling around Europe. The middle class consisted of the wealthiest peasants who lived in villages. Serfdom was still a major part of society in Eastern Europe, but Western Europe was a platform to large cities that provided large opportunities. Beggars were especially common during the 18th century and at first were considered the children of God, but as the Industrial Revolution grew, begging was considered a crime.